Do you think there's any hope for this offensive line? Because we're kind of getting to the point where there's still a lot of season left and you can improve week to week to week. But I mean, we're going into week 6 now against Tennessee. And it's like, I mean, if you haven't figured it out at all through the first 6 weeks, it's like you kind of just are becoming, that's just who you are. And that's why I said going
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like, look, that's who we are. That's what it's going to be this year. Like, we don't have elite pass protectors. But, like we were talking about last week, like the run's not working, you got to throw the ball. And we actually threw the ball fairly decently this week, despite, several drops, a couple of missed throws. But I mean, you kind of back into that and say, well, this is what Luke's 4th start.
Yeah. That was his,
total.
Get this, Alex, that was his first career win as a starting quarterback. That he started the game and we won. That was his first win. I mean, so that's how young he is. That's how young he is. Yeah.
But to that point, we threw the ball 34 times, right, and we gained 255 yards through the air. So I mean, that may be where we have to go with this. Running those reverses to Josh Vann yielded very positive results. So you kind of take those things into consideration. Like, we added some wrinkles, we threw the ball more than we normally would have. Did we have more success with it? I mean, statistically speaking, yes. I mean, did it matter a ton on the scoreboard? Not really, but those are the kinds of improvements you can make to see if that thing works against somebody like Troy before you go and do that against Tennessee. So, to me, it's really just a matter of scaling back what you're doing from a protection standpoint. Just like go in there and make that as simple as possible. Like, you block the man in front of you. I know it is way more complicated than that, and I don't mean to belittle it, but you got to do something different in that arena to improve that. And I think that's probably the best answer.
Yeah. Auburn did just fire their wide receivers coach. You think Greg Atkins should be worried about his job security a little bit or no?
I don't think so.
And I hate to bring up job security at, October the 4th, but I've had people asking me and I'm like, listen, whatever decision Shane Beaver makes, he's a grown ass man getting paid millions of dollars to coach kind of football. So whatever he says goes is going to go. But it's head scratching. It's hard to connect the dots on what's going wrong up front. I thought the thing that really, Alex, summarized it all up was, again, I came into the week saying, hey, if you got to throw it more, because I agree with you, you got to just make the adjustment. If you're Satterfield, I mean, there's being stingy in the run game, and there's also just pure madness and lunacy where you keep doing the same thing over and over and you expect a different result and it doesn't happen. But that first series, that first drive, you're down there 1st and goal at the 5-yard line and you throw 3 straight passes. And I'm like, that just right there goes to show how little they trust that offensive line. Because if this was last year, I mean, I'm like, there's no doubt we don't get it in from the 5-yard line with Kevin Harris and that big offensive line. But that's just not your reality this year.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree, for sure. Yeah, it's head scratching at best. It's also head scratching. I mean, and then we're also not taking into account how hurt is Luke, and why is he not running the ball more than he is?